space out with your side in. Or Keith can find that opening and completely just demolish your stocks just by finding a single Katara down, by finding a single Katara neutralite.
All right. Not entirely sure what the reset was about, but you know what? I'm not going to tread on that too much. I'm ready to just get right into this game. And as you can see, Keith just keeping up that aggression that we saw from earlier, putting on some solid damage. But Sphynx also answering back with these gauntlets.
Whipping that down in, Sphynx just able to get a little whip punish, finds that down but then that was a bit of an awkward interaction. Keith ended up slipping off stage into full multi-hits of the down did not connect. Goes for the side light, doesn't get a follow-up after. They're just going blow for blow right now.
Okay, there we go. Diving in, putting on some solid damage. Trying to get these guitars working basically overtime at this point with the way that they've been playing all day today. Ooh, that was an option. And what a reversal there. I feel like Sphynx should have had that stock lined up. But, I mean, Keith is just, you know, got the aggressive end on the other side of it. Oh, whoa!
Sentinel, baby.
Olay!
Lived and survived that recovery and just was able to make it back down and then just found a ground pound of his own. Keith cleaning up that first stock, but now just a couple of hits away, especially, you know, if Sphynx picks up a sword or maybe the gauntlets at this point, you get a single D-light, that's going to be the stock, right? You get a side light, you put them into a mix-up situation. Or alternatively, Keith is just able to hunt down your dodge, gets that Katara neutral. He's putting on a lot of extra credit at this point.
Right. Okay, finds a way back down to the stage. Tries to throw some fisticuffs with no weapon. All right, I mean, you had a weapon right above you. I'm not sure what the thought process was, but you know what? I'll let Keith rock, man. He knows what he's been doing. He's been doing really well all day today. But now we got that hammer coming out. So after seeing Katars versus gauntlets, we got hammer versus sword. Let's see how this works for Keith. See if they can find a way to answer back after losing that last stock.
Just spacing out with the hammer, being nice and patient, nice and slow, coming back onto the stage. Sphynx, you have to be so careful when it comes to actually edge-coding hammer, because as you may know, you get hit by that recovery, and then you just get popped all the way back down. Finds that neutralite. Ooh, bit of a commitment. Keith doesn't find the whip punish with the recovery in time, ends up misspacing it. Looking for the D-light, looking just to catch this landing. Okay, is that going to be it? Not quite. Just good damage.
Yeah, good damage as we see Keith find a way back to the stage, at least for now. I mean, they are in a little bit of that danger zone. Yep, there goes that stock, man, that red, and that using that recovery to kind of close out that stock there. Sphynx is just doing a really good job of containing Keith, really.
Keith just looking to pick up this hammer now. Just going in, initiating with that weapon toss. I feel like Keith has not been allowed to stay on Katara for too long, but what a follow-up. Able to get the D-light into the side of Sphynx down a little bit too low. That is just hammering sometimes. Even if you think you just have a lead like that, Keith was just able to pull it away at a moment's notice.
Yep. And now we're right on the Katars, which is actually what Keith wants here to rack up some fast damage. And they get a little bit going there. Now potentially taking the lead on that one. I'm not entirely sure. These two are really close in terms of damage at the moment. And they're just trading shots back and forth, Dara.
Yeah, that was really dangerous for Sphynx for the moment. Luckily, does get back on. Gets that end light. Gets that neutrally now. Coming back in with the down. Keith is not finding any really long extended strings or anything. They're just going hit for hit at this point. But then again, just catching that dodge. Keith has just been going for like a really simple neutrally to catch anybody's dodge after getting hit by the end light. And as a result, has put on a lot of good damage. But now at this point, this can be anybody's stock.
Ooh, okay, there we go. Gets that stage control again. Keith, that was an option. You almost lost the game for it. Like, you gotta settle down just a little bit.
Now just being a little bit scary, just dodging in the air occasionally. The end light does end up connecting. That's going to not be it still. Holding onto the stock, picking up the hammer, and now fishing for that D-light, looking for that neutral. It's going to take anything. It just takes one hit from hammer, is what I would say. Actually, never mind.
Great recovery, Dara, but can't say too much about Sphynx there as they get sent to the blast zone. For that last stock, game one now going into Keith's favor. And if we look back last time, Sphynx took game one and then they traded games back and forth. Maybe we get the same thing happening here. And we'll see how this plays out. We do see Sphynx get the first weapon here, sword in play. But we also see Keith get those Katars. And man, these Katars have just been lethal for so many today.
Looking for the side light, ends up whipping it and just eats a neutral light for it. Not too big of a punishment at the moment quite yet. Keith is now getting a little bit hungry, initiating with these side lights in neutral when both of them are just like sitting on the ground. Sphynx has just been sort of jumping up and not really getting hit by quite a few of those. But finally, that's going to be the follow-up. Gets that neutral light as a finisher. Keith is putting on good damage.
Nope. Keith! You gotta be careful. That's actually twice now, though, that we've seen that exact play happen, and Sphynx was not able to punish. That's just kind of leaving Keith to be aggressive and just get back to stage for free. You can't keep doing that, and that's
nice.
A stock to get started. Woo!
Yeah, that was really good. Sphynx was basically out of options at that point. Keith just hugged the stage, waited for the down air, waited for the option. And then just because of how big hammer recovery is, I mean, you can just cover a lot of space quickly. Keith still holding on to the stock. Sphynx is going to need another D-Light. Sphynx is going to need another sider if they hope to at least even this one back up. Connects that side light. Keith has been dodging down. Sphynx is able to hunt it down that time, was able to connect it. Really good follow-up.
Now we're just gonna see if Keith can get a weapon here. Oh man, Sphynx off to the hot start there with the gauntlets, trying to put on some solid damage, chasing him down. Fortunately, Keith is gonna get that weapon, the hammer coming into play, but the gauntlets just continuing to put the punishment here, man.
Just looking to initiate with some of these side lights. Doesn't fight it quite yet. Sphynx is juggling. Sphynx is making it really difficult for Keith to be able to just get back down. Just saying, hey, I need a little bit of space. Please, just get away from me for just a moment. But now picking up yet another set of gauntlets here. What's it gonna be? Keith, not able to get that D-Light. You need that D-Light if you want to get those follow-ups, and that's gonna be Sphynx cleaning it up with that side sig.
And that's exactly what I want to see for an answer back from Sphynx. You know, that game one really came down to the wire here, and this one could also do the same. Oh my god, dude. Keith's movement there was impeccable. Just weaving in and out, finding a way to those weapons, getting those guitars, and just starting to rack up that damage. That was insane. That was so beautiful.
Keith right now just needs any way to close at this point. He needs that recovery. He needs that offstage down. He needs that side. He needs something. Because right now, Sphynx is just slowly chipping away at this and building a bigger and better lead for themselves.
Okay. Gets that hammer in play now. Gonna be looking to try and close out the stock. And we know one hit could be all it takes. And now, even game. Little bit of a damage difference, but you got these guitars in hand. You could really find a way to even this up and even take the lead off one hit. Oh! Sphynx getting those gauntlets started, racking up a little bit of damage for themselves as well.
Gets that side light, looking for the recovery as an immediate punish, but Keith just ended up jumping away and to safety. That's just side light. Side light's always going to be that 50-50. It's always going to just put you into that mix-up game. Started something off stage with the down air. Doesn't end up fully finishing it though, as Sphynx finds his way safely back onto the stage.
Okay. Nice damage. Getting started up here. Jumping around, just trying to find a way in. Sphynx is getting onesies, twosies, but nothing too much anymore. I feel like Keith's movement is just a little too elusive here.
Gets that neutral light, waits a little bit, but then just ends up recovering and whiffing. Looking for the dodge punish there. Holding back onto the ground, looking for the side, just punishing some of these side lights. You have to be careful to not overcommit to those gauntlet side lights. But then Sphynx with the jump call out. That was good. That was incredible. Sphynx put himself out there. Sphynx put himself off stage and was just like, okay, I'm gonna go for the lead. You're gonna jump here. Great, I have a recovery with your name on it. This is going to be pretty exciting.
3, 2, 1.
Greatsword can sometimes just have a ridiculous damage output, but sometimes you can also struggle with initiating with it because you don't really have the privilege of pressing a lot of grounded moves here. I'm curious to see, like, I need a little bit of a refresher on like how Keith plays Greatsword stylistically. We'll just have to find out, but at the moment, only a sword on hand. Sphynx though coming back up, looking for the down air follow-up from the neutral air, doesn't find it.
There we go, just trying to find his space here. Putting on some decent damage, nothing super crazy right now. I like that, good opening, just a couple of hits. And really trying to establish his stage control here. Again, Keith with a super aggressive play off stage.
Tossing up the weapon just to make it difficult for Sphynx to go out there through the edge guard. Looking through the neutral light, looking through the side light. Okay, D-Light into the recovery, just really good damage at this point.
Wow, that was almost a stock, just barely living here. And there it goes. Wow, just kind of kept them juggled up in the air as well. Sphynx is really sitting pretty. I mean, that was a pretty good game too. You know, they feel strong, and I mean, strong enough to the fact that Keith's switching characters here after basically dominating with Sentinel all day today. And Sphynx just continues to just rack this up and just continue to put this pressure.
Yeah, Keith is struggling to initiate at this point. Sphynx is just sort of, you know, playing in the face a little bit. Keith has not found any of like those really big great sword openings at the moment, right? But as soon as I say it, tries to go through the neutral light after the D-light bridge, just to maybe cover behind them. Doesn't actually find it successfully though. Sphynx still holding on to this blue stock.
Still not able to get that conversion to try and close out the stock here. It's a little bit rough. Yeah, like you are getting some hits now. Like you're starting to kind of, you know, okay, I need to throw out hits a little bit earlier with the great sword, you know, just to try and, you know, find my combos. And there we go. Finally gets the stock off of one recovery there. But yeah, it's definitely looking a little bit rough in terms of like just trying to keep up with the pressure that Sphynx is putting down themselves.
Waiting a second, both of them just slowing down the pace of the game. Nobody pressing anything. Really just good, safe distance for that side. Like, you can't be any closer because otherwise you'll just find yourself getting whip punished. Popping him up with that neutral light finisher. Okay, and just able to get a recovery. That's a lot of really good damage at this point. But Sphynx finding that sider. Sphynx overcommitting off stage and ends up getting swatted away with that sider. The recovery doesn't clean it up though. Sphynx still holding onto the stock and then finding one on Keith. Incredible.
I feel like Keith had that stock. Like, just he needed to just get one more hit and just wasn't able to get the one they wanted and put Sphynx back on stage to be able to get the stock for themselves. That's super unfortunate. And now they're gonna have to sit here and struggle as they try to find a hit on Sphynx here. And man, Sphynx is not making this easy for him.
Sphynx tried to go below him. Sphynx tried to find that neutral in. Was not successful though. And now with the weapon toss, doesn't pick it back up though, and now just has the sword on hand instead. No whiff punish on that signature though. Goes off stage for the ground pound. That's one. Wow. Keith has no jumps. Keith, he used up that dodge and down a little bit too low. Sphynx taking out that game in a confident two-stock fashion. Yeah, Keith was having an issue closing that game. As Greatsword, the ways that you have to close, you can try to get a recovery off the top, either looking for edge guards inside of it, or, you know, you just trying to get a combo, like, on the ground or so. And it just seems like Keith was never in a position to land any of those buttons. There was that one pivotal edge guard that Keith ended up missing. Sphynx got back on, and then was able to close out the game. But then look at this damage output. Look at how much damage Sphynx just took.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the power of the greatsword, you know, just put down a lot of damage. Jae-yoon is just a great character for putting a lot of that out there. But here we go, Sphynx starting to find a way to battle back, getting a little bit for themselves, almost losing the stock there and losing the gauntlets in the process.
Yeah, Keith has made it really difficult for Sphynx to pick up a weapon up until finally getting that opening with the unarmed sidelight, picking up the sword, and now you have to find a way to get back onto the stage. The recovery misses, the downing misses, Sphynx commits to that ground pound and then puts himself in a precarious position, and Keith was able to close it out off the top.
Okay, there we go. Tacking on some damage there with the onesies, twosies. Just getting the fists and kicks going. And now the gauntlets here. I love that move because it just looks like you're just pounding on their head. It just looks terrible.
Oh, it's so good. Absolutely. But, oh my gosh. A side zig from across the stage, and Keith was not ready for it. And now Keith just barely able dodging that gauntlet recovery. Makes it back down. Really good catch on that dodge. That's the kind of a downer that you want to look for. That could have been huge. And then Keith went for a bit of a gamble with that weapon toss. Dashing in, the recovery does not do it. Still, just enough to be able to hold onto the stock. The neutral light whiffs, and that's going to be the whiff punish from Sphynx. But look at how much damage you have to make up at this point.
Yeah, and I think this just comes down to the fact that Keith is starting to find their rhythm here with Jae-yoon, which is honestly fantastic. Like, it's what they needed. But at the same time here, I mean, Sphynx it's still got a lead, a one-game lead. And they're starting to look good. They're starting to find their hits in this game. Oh, but not for too much longer. Can they find a way back to the stage and get the wall touch? That's huge, but it does not matter as Keith closes out that stock. And we are one stock away from a Game 5 situation once again.
Yep, just classic off-stage coding where you have no weapon, the GCD light into the ground pound. Okay, what's gonna be the game plan here? Goes for the D-light bridge, doesn't actually, you know, get that follow-up there. Sphynx, okay, there is a tell here. Sphynx is doing something. Sphynx is consistently dodging out after Keith hits that sidelight opening. It is now your duty as, you know, a combo-based weapon, right? Where you have to just be like, okay, I know where you're dodging out of this. I need to stop after my sidelight, maybe dash in, and then try to get the punish on your dodge afterwards instead of going through that immediate follow-up. Sphynx has established that that is potentially a habit. I want to see Keith now exploit that. Because again, Sphynx got out of it in the same exact way.
Oh, okay, that was certainly a play there. That definitely an aggressive call out that they're not gonna be able to find. Oh my goodness! Oh, no weapons now. Can they find a way to close out this stock? That is a dark red. Honestly, just a couple hits from anything should be able to close out this last stock. Ooh, almost finding Visair. They do get the recovery. Man, oh, right. I think that's just part of the fact of Keith just starting to find that rhythm with Jae-Yun, you know, getting that engine revved up. And now it's just up to Sphynx just to make a couple adaptations because, again, they didn't even look that bad. But that was, they lost that. That was probably the worst they looked, which, again, not bad.
Okay, but already gets that neutral off stage, gets that second one, gets that third one over and over again, and yet still Keith makes it back on each time. Despite taking a couple of hits, despite taking some damage here. Hitting that neutral it, looking for the sidelight afterwards. Sphynx is... I mean, Sphynx is on top of Keith right now.
Like, come on. He's just doing the same move over and over. It's like a small flex. I don't think they're like trying to do it to flex on him, but it feels like it.
I mean, hey, it's connecting, it's working, he's getting that damage in, and now just slowing down the... I don't know what to really describe that. They both just kind of moved around to each other for like a solid 5 seconds. Nobody really pressed any buttons here. Okay, Sphynx going for the GC sidelight after the first sidelight, just looking for any way to get this follow-up here. You gotta be careful whipping Greatsword sidelight on the ground like that because you will find yourself getting whip punished, and just the very last hitbox of the sword recovery was enough to take Keith up over the top.
The very last hitbox, that was like kind of cutting it close here a little bit, but I mean, hey, it's a great start. You got that stock out of the way, and now you kind of just play your game. You know, you don't have to aggress too much. You don't have to continue to push the, you know, pedal to the metal. You got to allow Keith to just get aggressive with you and try to find some punishes there, because you were doing it earlier too, because especially with Greatsword, you kind of have to do these hops because that's kind of like your best option. And you just get the punish out of that with the gauntlet. So we'll see if they're able to keep that up. But right now, you're in that dark red. Keith just needs one hit to try and close this out.
Looking for the recovery, ends up whipping. That recovery finally does end up connecting, and that is the beauty of Greatsword recovery. It has so much horizontal reach, and then you can either lean into it if you really think somebody's just going to fade out, or you can fade back with it, right? So you definitely have quite a bit of, you just have quite a bit of options with it, is the reality of it.
All right, here we go. These two dancing around each other now, trying to find those openings. Get one solid hit. Nothing super crazy. Both ways, actually.
Okay, gets the sidelight D-light footage. Just holding onto the ground, playing a really grounded playstyle, just looking to get Sphynx across the stage with that D-light. I mean, that D-light, that Greatsword D-light, it is huge. It can just catch you sleeping, it can catch you landing improperly as well. Goes for the reverse neutral light after the downlight bridge. Okay, what's it gonna be? Sphynx fishing through that sidelight and ends up getting punished for it.
I mean, they're doing a great job of kind of dancing around here. I mean, they do have a small lead, especially with the fact that Greatsword is out. Like, you are maintaining a damage lead against Keith with that. That's actually, like, huge. It's a real testament to the way that you're playing right now. But now it's kind of like just a couple small hits from Keith, and like it's already evened up and almost losing the stock. Like, that's how dangerous Greatsword is.
Gets a recovery. That one doesn't do it quite yet, though. Just looking through the juggle, looking for it pretty desperately, whipping the recovery, whipping the down air. Sphynx, though. Ugh. Yeah, Keith wasn't having any of that. Finally found that recovery. And now Keith, 2-to-1 stocks, super deep into the red, left off stage weaponless. And Sphynx, just with the haymaker, with the unarmed side strong, closing it out. This is Game 5 Elimination Finals.
And
last stock each.
Completely even too. Like that's how crazy this set is going right now. We could be seeing a rivalry just kind of build right before our very eyes with the way that these two are playing right now. But as we can see, both of them trying to jockey for position here. Okay, there we go. Keith with a lot of damage there. That was huge.
Okay, gets that recovery, looking through the neutral layer. Just looking to any way to be able to keep up the struggle. Sphynx, no
Oh,
punish
no.
on the whip sidelight. Keith has Sphynx off stage. How does Sphynx make it back on? The answer is slowly. Keith was looking to cover the platform, didn't cover it in time. Sphynx still struggling to make it back on. The cider comes out, but that's not gonna do it quite yet. Sphynx. Oh no. Sphynx dodged through it. Sphynx made it back on.
This really comes down to if Keith can land one more hit with this great sword, that's probably going to be the game. Like, Sphynx has to play so careful. Wasn't able to convert. That's so unfortunate. That's so crucial. You really needed that.
It's always gonna be a mix-up, right? You hit that light, but now Sphynx going up after the recovery, just looking for any way to be able to steal this. But then Keith clutches it out, picks up that sword, gets that cider, takes out Game 5, making sure that he is not double eliminated by the person that sent him to elimination side to begin with. That was insane.
That was definitely insane. That was terrifying, to say the least. Like,